There we go, level 11. And I have learned Haunt. I apparently have also learned Explosive Toads. Well, that's a new one on me. Maybe this will make Toads worthwhile. Let's take a look, shall we? Look at Toads with Explosive Toads. Mutate them to fire bullfrogs that explode for 169% damage as fire. Well, that tells me two things. First, Toads say it does 130% weapon damage to anything they come in contact with. That implies it only hurts the monster it touches. Explosive Toads says they explode, which means they may have a tiny AoE component. So they might be even better against groups. But the damage has also been increased from 130 to 169. So almost 40% weapon damage increase from there. So we're going to give those a shot. And Haunt is the new primary that we are given. Cost of 9 mana, so 3 more mana than Dart or Firebomb. Haunt an enemy with a Spirit, dealing 360% weapon damage as Arcane over 15 seconds. If the target dies, the Spirit will haunt other nearby enemies. Now Haunt was buffed, very, very slightly. It was given a mana cost of 9 from 15, so the mana cost was reduced, which is technically a buff. And the damage was increased by 10% weapon damage, so from 350 to 360. That means that it used to do 23% weapon damage per second, and now does 24% weapon damage per second. Obviously not a huge, huge, huge change. I still question the desire to have Haunt as a primary skill since it doesn't stack. I can't sit there and just spam Haunt on an enemy and hoping it'll kill him. So what I'm thinking of doing is keeping my poison darts. Well, you know, I have the Toads. What if I just use Haunt Toads and I'll go ahead and keep using Grasp and Zombie Dogs? Let's just give that a shot. First, let's look at our Toads. And it looks like they do have AoE. They perform much like the old incarnation of them, but you notice, look at that, I'm doing quite a bit amount of AoE there. So even though they're not my favorite skill, they just prove that they can take out a nice large group. The beautiful thing is, once again, the mana cost is practically negligible. You can see I can cast these things all day long and only lose a tiny bit of mana each time. The speed boost that they gave these Toads is definitely noticeable, and I think it really makes this skill stand out now. So now that they're moving a bit quicker, they feel they don't feel as bad. When they were moving slow and erratic, then they were definitely, to me, pretty pointless. I'm not saying it's necessarily bad. Some people might like it for their builds, but for the way I play, what I like to do, I just didn't like them. In this case, they move fast enough that I could see myself possibly even using these. I don't know about this one, maybe another version of it with another rune. It's quite possible. Alright. And there's your Haunt, as you can see. Supplemental damage. Alright, those are our level 11 abilities. Now, I want to go ahead and kind of apologize here as I've been going through in the other videos. I feel that my exhaustion level has kind of affected what I've been putting out here for the Witch Doctor. And I feel that, you know, to my personal standards, especially because I couldn't formulate my thoughts properly as far as my leveling experience with the Witch Doctor goes, you know, I did want to apologize for that if it does feel lacking, at least in my head as I was going through it. I haven't reviewed it yet, but I have a feeling I'm going to cringe when I listen to it. But that's okay. I'm going to still continue to try to put this content out before everything resets. I appreciate your patience, and hopefully I'll have a better analysis for you when I hit 13. And there we have it. Next level. And I actually did get my rune for my zombie dogs, only it wasn't the rune I was expecting. Level 12. Let's take a look. I got Firebats for my secondary. 27 mana. Swarm of fiery bats to burn enemies in front of you for 100% weapon damage as fire. This ability has really not changed at all. 100% damage per second as it lasts in a cone, and it's a channeled ability. Let's take a look at the rune we get for zombie dogs. Looks like they've moved things around. Lifelink is now level 28, and that's the one where they take 10% of the damage for you. In this case, we have Rabid dogs. Zombie dogs gain an infectious bite that deals 9% of your weapon damage as poison over 3 seconds. So I imagine it's about 3% weapon damage a second. So that's not a lot, but then again you have 3 dogs, each of them doing it. So that's a buff to their damage a bit there. So it's worth having if you're going to use your zombie dogs. And so we'll take a look at them, see what they look like, and I'll probably get some footage of them attacking targets with me here. And there they are. They are green. Wow. I think they're more sickly than they are rabid. Like dying. Alright. We'll get some, we'll look into that. As the build you saw here when I killed the king was part of the damage over time build I was using, focusing with Haunt and Eels, and then nuking with the darts. And the beautiful thing about Haunt was I was able to spam it on his minions, as it's a mana generator. I just spammed on his minions and they eventually hit him when his dropped. So I thought that was a pretty decent build. And what I'm going to do now is I'll probably look at what I've got, and we'll make a build for showing off some of the abilities I got, such as Firebats and the new zombie dogs. Alright, so what I've decided to do here is focus on a build that utilizes the Vermin passive. Plague of Toads, Corpse Spiders, Locust Swarm, and Firebats do 20% more damage. So what I've done is I've picked the abilities that I have that it lists off. I've got Plague of Toads, Spiders, and Firebats. Especially since Firebats was only just earned, it'll give me a chance to show that off. I've still got my plagued zombie dogs here, the rabid dogs. Honestly, this feels like it might be a build that has a little bit of mana issues, since I don't have anything that's really going to regenerate mana. Toads is still a mana leech, even though it's minor. But bats and toads honestly feel like they might be slightly redundant, but I want to give it a shot here, see how it feels with a jar of souls.
Rocha's spirits are green and nearly done.
I tried to count how many we've killed, but I've lost track.
Alright, I kind of leveled there unexpectedly, so I wasn't exactly prepared to record it, but I got the level up anyway. So let's go ahead and start with the fact that I got two new passives. I've got Circle of Life. Whenever an enemy dies within 12 yards, there's a 5% chance that a zombie dog will automatically emerge. Range of this effect is increased by the radius of your golden pickup. That hasn't changed. Spiritual Attunement. Maximum mana is increased by 20%. Regenerate 1% of your maximum mana per second. And that hasn't changed since the last patch either. We'll be testing that out, but apparently we've got some new runes here. Numbing Dart, same as last time. Thoghts in the Poison Dart reduce the target's movement speed by 60% for 2 seconds. That also maintains the 50% weapon damage over 2 seconds that the original Dart has. So we'll go ahead and do that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to put Circle of Life on because I'm going to want to test some things out with that as well. And I've got Summon Zombie Dogs with Rabid Dogs here. One other ability that I got under is it defensive? Here we go. Under Terror. Let's clear this out so I can just do it by the default values. There we go. Alright, so we're going to do Poison Dart with Numbing Dart. We'll come up here and I won't worry about that one for now. Summon Zombie Dogs with Rabid Dogs. And Sacrifice. We didn't get this in the beta before. Banish your zombie dogs and cause them to explode. Each dealing 200% of your weapon damage is physical to all enemies in 12 yards. That's, honestly, the way it sounds like it could be a very powerful ability. With 3 zombie dogs, each of them exploding for 200% weapon damage. If I had 3 zombie dogs surrounding a target, that would be about 600% weapon damage. Now keep in mind that means I have to get rid of my zombie dogs to do it. Because the zombie dogs themselves have a 60-second cooldown, if you're planning on playing with something like Sacrifice, that means you either want to use Sacrifice only in an emergency situation, or you might want to consider using something like Circle of Life to replenish your zombie dogs once the 60 seconds cooldown is ticking up. Also, if you were curious about my earlier build, it didn't work out too well. I fought the Skeleton King, and yeah, as I expected, I ran out of mana. I ended up changing things around again, and moving off of Vermin. So what I'm thinking here is I'm going to be doing Dogs and Sacrifice. I think I'll just go ahead and keep Firebats as my secondary. That's really one of my favorite spells. So I'm not going to use my zombie dogs right now. I want to get Circle of Life proc, and I want to confirm that they, of course, inherit, which I do believe they will. And I'm going to play around with that a bit too. I'm going to do a little bit of recording of that, because the last patch I had a couple questions regarding that. They inherited runes even when the skill was not slotted. Here I do have it slotted, so I anticipate that they should inherit it. But I want to see if they will when I don't have it, and I also want to see if I can get the zombie dogs to go away when I take the passive off. So we'll look at each of those. There we go. I've already got my first zombie dog, and yes, he has inherited the power of the rune. The zombie dogs are still very fragile. That's why I went back to Jungle Fortitude at first. Of course, with only one passive slot, I can't go to Jungle Fortitude while I'm using Circle of Life. It's going to be a little problematic when fighting the king. So that's my expectation of using the zombie dogs with sacrifice, though, because I imagine they'll surround him, and then I can just hit him with a big shot of damage, and then I'll just have to wait for them to come off cooldown, or hope that one of the skeletons that he summons gives me another zombie dog. I won't count on it, though. I really don't expect that working out. But we'll see. I still want to hit him with sacrifice. I want to see if that's going to do the 600% that I expect it to. Each explosion should be an independent source of damage, which means all of them should hurt him. Alright, I'm going to go find a monster here to try and get them to explode on. Just real quick, I'll show you the dart. Still has the same effect, where it looks like it's got kind of a shockwave behind it. And I have seen that it is ticking poison damage on monsters when I hit them. See, there it is. So it still maintains all the properties of the original poison dart. Hey, I'm still tired. I'm going to get more sleep tomorrow. Hopefully I should be well rested for patch 15 commentary. Hopefully there'll be plenty to talk about. Otherwise, I'll just finish my other two playthroughs that I need to do. And if there's any differences, I'll talk about them. If they change things around again, I will, as usual, go through the leveling process and see how they feel. I completely forgot to use my sacrifice. I will use it in the next event. And we'll go to the Skeleton King and we'll try and hit him with the sacrifice.
Keep your distance from him. This burden is mine.
You dare to bring the warmth of life into my tomb?
Alright, boys. Find a monster or something and boom. Summon them. Here my intent is to pretty much blow through my mana as much as possible, since I've got dogs and sacrifices. I won't be using them on a massive basis, so considering the poison dart is my mana regenerator, I'm just going to be using Firebats until I start to run out. You would think that the bats would see that their brethren have been lit aflame and would not want to suffer the same fate. But no, they keep flying into it. They keep burning them.
You were defeated the moment you surrendered to madness.
Go forth and die, my zombie dogs. Yeah, there we go. All three of them hit him. It's a decent chunk of damage, but obviously it's not something I can rely on to hurt him with. Sacrifice looks like one of those things that you would probably want to use for larger groups. You start to get overwhelmed. Maybe it'll help push things back. It's kind of hard to say, you know. Honestly, sacrificing pets for damage. And of course, they're not hardy enough really for this fight, so that's really all I can use them for. So if I've got them slotted and I want to use them for other things, I'm not getting more zombie dogs from Circle of Life while fighting him. But at least we got to see the dogs did a decent amount of damage to him. So what I'll do is I'm going to take these zombie dogs off of my bars, and I'm going to play around with Circle of Life and see if I can get it to behave like it did before. Well, it didn't take long, and I've already had 2 questions answered for me. The power of Circle of Life, apparently the inheritance on the zombie dogs was not intended, and they found a way to fix it. As you might see here, and in fact I just got another one, so you'll see even better. I have 2 zombie dogs now, and you'll notice those zombie dogs are basic zombie dogs. They have no runes allocated to them at all, and that's because I have Circle of Life, but I do not have the zombie dogs actually on my bars. So they fixed the problem where the last rune used was given to the dogs. However, if you have it slotted and you have a rune in it, you will still get that rune. So that makes Circle of Life behave as I really expected it to when I first used it. So that's really nice to see that it was a bug and it's already been fixed in the beta. If it's fixed in the beta, obviously it's going to be fixed in the final. So we're good there. Now the next thing to test is to see if I maintain my dogs. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to change passives here to Spiritual Attunement. And it looks like I do keep them. Now this might be somewhat intended behavior, simply because the dogs are a bit more fragile now. If they die, I'm not going to be able to resummon them. Before last patch in the beta, before the monsters started doing more damage, I could just put Circle of Life on, get 3 zombie dogs, get them with my rune, take it off, switch to another passive, and that was good to go. Simply because they just would not die. Now, oh, they'll die. We promise. So now, we'll have to see. That could change when the full game comes out. And again, we only have 2 months to wait for that. You can't see it, but I've got a big grin on my face at this point. So, for now though, I guess we can just anticipate that this is expected behavior, that they expect the dogs will not last very long while out. It's still a little awkward to me simply because they do go away when you unslot the skill. So they may fix it or they may leave it alone simply because they're not really, the dogs really just aren't as strong as they used to be. So, and since they're basic dogs, they're not inheriting anything to make them overpowered. So we'll see, maybe in patch 15 we'll see if there's a note or something or if the behavior changes. I'll take a look at it. Okay, so at this point it's kind of my final impressions time. I'm probably going to ramble a bit on this one again. Let me put it this way. When it comes to the Witch Doctor, here's the way I feel. The Witch Doctor can shine in the right hands. I love the fact that the Witch Doctor has overlapping sources of damage, so you can do quick burst damage if you need to. I like the fact that the Witch Doctor has very unique skills, and a lot of them, to allow the Witch Doctor to respond to many different threats. So the Witch Doctor has a massive toolbox, as it were, of just tools that it can use for many different situations. And it's not just the skills themselves. I mean, the skills themselves are diverse enough. When you look at the kind of abilities we have here, like grass, spiders, toads, and bats, locust swarm. I mean, just those in the secondary. There's a lot there, a lot of diversity there. And that's just the base skills. The runes can change each of those skills for even more diversity. So the Witch Doctor has a lot going for it. I like the Witch Doctor a lot more than I used to. With the Witch Doctor, though, what I have a problem with is I personally am having kind of difficulty deciding where I ultimately want my build to go. Maybe in the end game when I can get, I'll just kind of go in here and go into Voodoo, where you can get your Gargantuan, your bad Voodoos, and your armies. Maybe I'll make a pet build, because I really like doing that with my Necromancer. That could be fun.
Time will tell all.
But I'm really not sure what I want to do, because I could do that. I could do pets. I could do damage over time with Haunt and Groping Eels, Firebats. There's a lot. And unfortunately, when confronted with that many choices in one class, it really is hard for me to kind of narrow down exactly what I want to do, because there is no one answer. I think the Witch Doctor is really solid. I think those of you guys who've been watching the Witch Doctor, following him, I think you'll like him. The damage may have been brought down a bit, but it's by no means powerless. Keep in mind that other classes have had their damages brought down a bit as well, such as the Wizard. So I'm not feeling really any weaker than, say, my Monk or my Barbarian. The Witch Doctor is kind of in line with them right now. So everything feels good. Until I can get to the other two classes, I'll still have to say, though, that all 5 classes feel solid. Honestly, there's just so much you can do here with this class that I look forward to trying it in the end game. I don't know when I'll get to it, but I do look forward to trying it. Alright, well, hopefully this has been somewhat insightful and informative. I thank you guys for following along. I've been getting a lot more positive comments here, and honestly, it means a lot. Thank you guys for putting that out there, and I'm glad that you like them. As long as people will like the content I put out there, I will continue to put it out there. Pretty much up until release, and maybe even on release I might come up with something. I'm not sure exactly what yet. I don't really have enough hard drive space to be doing constant playthroughs, but maybe I'll do something for the classes and the skills or something like that. It really depends. See if the demand is out there for it, since everybody will probably be buying the game. They probably don't care so much anymore about watching videos of the game, but we'll see. Okay guys, this is Kage-Kaze. This has been the Witch Doctor, all the way up to level 13 for patch 14. I'll see you guys when patch 15 hits, and again when Diablo 3 hits in May.